In a realm where time itself is bound by emotion, Arielle, a mortal healer cursed with the power to pause moments of love and pain, meets Henry, a fallen guardian exiled from the celestial order. When she saves him from death, their souls intertwine, breaking the laws of time itself. But Henry carries a divine command. He must return to the heavens before the next lunar eclipse, or the mortal world will collapse into timeless chaos. As their love deepens, time begins to fracture. Seasons shift in seconds, memories blur, and reality trembles under the weight of their forbidden bond. Arielle begs him to stay. "You can't leave at this time," she whispers. But destiny demands a sacrifice. To save her world, she must let go of the only heartbeat that ever made time stand still. Hello, Moonlight family. Welcome back to Moonlight Romance Stories. If you're new here, don't forget to like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic stories filled with betrayal, power, and transformation. And to all my loyal viewers, thank you for always lighting up the Moonlight world with your support. The night was heavy with rain. Arielle pressed her trembling hands against the child's chest, whispering every healing word she knew. The faint glow beneath her palms flickered, then died. The boy's breath stilled, and with it, something inside her broke. "No, not again," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. The wind howled through the hollow village street as the mother's cries rose behind her. Arielle stumbled backward, heart shattering. She had sworn her gift would never fail again, yet death had stolen another innocent. The world blurred. Grief tore through her chest like a scream she couldn't release. And then everything stopped. The rain froze mid-air. The cries fell silent. Even her own breath lingered like a cloud that refused to fade. She spun in disbelief. Time itself had stopped moving. Her heartbeat thundered in the silence. "What? What have I done?" she gasped. Then she saw it, light glowing faintly beyond the edge of the path. She followed it, drawn as if by instinct, until she reached a small clearing. There, lying among the silver grass, was a man. His skin shimmered faintly, as though moonlight itself was trapped beneath it. Feathers, no wings, lay broken behind him, their golden tips dimmed with blood that glowed like liquid light. Arielle knelt beside him, afraid to touch. "Are you human?" she whispered. The stranger didn't move, but his face, calm, otherworldly, seemed to breathe serenity even in pain. She reached out, her fingers brushing the strange symbol burned into his chest. Instantly, warmth surged through her veins, and the world shuddered. The rain began to fall again, crashing to the ground all at once. Sound returned in a deafening rush. Arielle gasped, jerking her hand back. The man stirred, his golden eyes snapping open, light spilling from them like dawn breaking. "Who? Stop the flow." His voice was deep, filled with celestial resonance that made the air vibrate. Arielle stumbled backward. I didn't mean to." He studied her, confusion shadowing his divine gaze. "You touched the seal of time," he murmured, reaching toward her trembling wrist. There, glowing faintly beneath her skin, was the same symbol that marked his heart. And before she could speak, the ground cracked beneath them, light surging upward as if time itself had awakened to their meeting. The heavens trembled, and destiny began to move again. Light flared upward like a storm tearing through the sky. Arielle shielded her face as the ground split beneath them, and a wave of golden fire surged outward, painting the forest in shimmering dust. When the brilliance faded, the stranger, no longer lifeless, was sitting upright, breathing hard, his once glowing wings reduced to faint outlines fading into smoke. He looked around, dazed. "The flow, it's broken." His voice trembled, more human than before. "This realm, what have I done?" Arielle took a careful step forward. "You were hurt. I tried to help." His eyes, deep gold like the heart of a flame, locked on hers. You shouldn't have. My fall was decreed. Interference binds you to me. She blinked. What are you talking about? He lifted his wrist. The strange sigil burned faintly on his skin, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Arielle looked down and saw the same mark glowing on her own. She touched it, and time itself seemed to tremble. The wind froze mid-gust, droplets hung in the air again. Even the forest stopped breathing. Arielle gasped. No, not again. Henry, he whispered the name as if remembering himself, gritted his teeth. I am Henry, guardian of the Fifth Order. Or I was, until I fell. His gaze darkened. You have done what no mortal should. Your emotion has bound time to a fallen star. I didn't choose this, she shouted. Her voice echoed through the stillness. I was only trying to save you. Henry stared at her, guilt shadowing his celestial features. And by saving me, you have endangered everything. Suddenly, the symbol on their wrists flared bright white. The air pulsed with a low hum that grew into a thunderous vibration. Arielle felt it in her bones, like the world's heartbeat struggling to steady itself. Henry's eyes widened. They've sensed it. The celestial order. They know I'm alive. Before she could respond, light split the sky above them. 3 streaks of fire descending through the clouds. The heavens were sending something, or someone. Henry struggled to his feet, barely holding balance. We must move, he said, voice sharp with urgency. If they reach us while the bond is unstable, time itself will. The light struck the forest behind them, shaking the earth. Arielle stumbled, clutching his arm as trees snapped like twigs. What happens if they find us, she cried. Henry's golden eyes turned toward the blazing horizon. Then everything you love will freeze forever. The forest burned behind them. Embers floated like dying stars as Arielle dragged Henry into the shadows of the old temple ruins. His body trembled with exhaustion, golden veins flickering beneath his skin. Every breath he took pulsed through her own chest, the cursed rhythm of their shared bond. Stay quiet, she whispered. The air carried the echo of armored feet and clinking spears. Through the cracks in the temple wall, Arielle saw them, temple guards clad in silver and obsidian, their eyes glowing faint blue. Each bore the sigil of the celestial order. The fallen star is near, one muttered, raising a staff that shimmered with moonlight. His trail bends the hours. The mortal who touched him cannot be far. Arielle held her breath. Henry's eyes fluttered open, dull from pain. They will not stop until I'm unmade, he murmured. You should leave me. I can't, she said sharply. The mark. Her voice broke as the sigil on her wrist began to spread, crawling up her arm like threads of molten light. The glow pulsed with his heartbeat, syncing perfectly. She felt his pain, his fear. Even his memories flickered at the edge of her vision. Fragments of stars, angels, and shattered glass skies. Henry tried to stand, but when their hands separated, the air screamed. Reality convulsed. The temple pillars warped, bending like wax. Time fractured into ribbons, sunlight, moonlight, dawn, and dusk folding over one another. A bird mid-flight hung frozen above them, its wings flickering between decades. Arielle's heartbeat pounded in her ears as the ground rippled like water. Henry, she cried, what's happening? Our connection. It's anchoring time around us, he gasped, reaching for her hand. If we pull apart, the balance collapses. Arielle gripped him, their fingers locking. Instantly the chaos stilled. The world sighed, colors returning, air rushing back. But the reprieve was short. The guards burst through the ruins, blades drawn. There, the mortal witch and the fallen one. Henry's golden eyes flared with fury. Run! They dashed through a hallway of broken statues, light bending strangely with every step. The mark burned hotter, brighter, a living map of their shared fate. Outside, Under a sky split between dawn and night, Arielle stumbled to her knees. "We can't keep running," she gasped. Henry knelt beside her, his hand over the mark on her wrist. "Then we must learn to control it, or watch the world unravel around us." A faint tremor ran through the ground. The horizon flickered, and for a heartbeat the stars themselves blinked out. Arielle looked up, terrified. What was that? Henry's voice dropped to a whisper. The beginning of time's collapse. The horizon trembled again, a silver pulse spreading across the sky like veins of liquid light. Arielle clutched Henry's hand, feeling his heartbeat synchronize with hers, the mark glowing brighter with every thrum. The ground beneath them rippled, grass bending unnaturally as though the earth itself sensed the danger. "We can't stay here," Henry whispered, scanning the fractured skyline. "Every moment we linger, the order draws closer." Arielle nodded, eyes wide with fear. "Then, who can help us?" A faint sound echoed through the trees, a slow, measured hum, neither wind nor water. From the shadows emerged a figure draped in flowing robes that shimmered with time-worn threads of silver and midnight blue. His face was hidden beneath a hood, but his presence carried a weight heavier than centuries. "I have been waiting for you," the figure said, voice like rustling leaves and distant chimes. "I am the timekeeper." Arielle stepped back, heart racing. What are you?" He lifted a gnarled staff etched with moving runes, the air around it pulsing faintly. "You, mortal, bear a curse older than the stars themselves, and you," he said, turning to Henry, "have fallen beyond your reckoning. Together, you have triggered forces meant to remain sealed." Henry's eyes narrowed. "I am no threat. This mortal's heart is not mine to control." The timekeeper raised a hand, cutting through his protest. "Denial will not save you. The prophecy speaks of love that defies the heavens, a bond so potent it rewrites eternity. The flow of time bends around you, child, and if left unchecked, your desire will fracture the world." Arielle swallowed, her fingers trembling against Henry's. "So, it's true? My curse? This connection?" The timekeeper inclined his head. "Yes, but do not despair. Understanding your power is the only path to survival." A sudden flare of white gold erupted in the sky above them, blinding in its intensity. The celestial hunters had arrived, descending like shards of light slicing through clouds. The timekeeper's eyes glimmered with sorrow. "They are coming," he said quietly. "You have little time. Your sanctuary has been breached." Henry's hand tightened around Arielle's. "We must move, now." The forest around them shimmered as reality wavered, trees bending in impossible angles, shadows stretching unnaturally. Arielle felt her heart hammering not from fear, but from the connection, their bond now anchoring the chaos. "Henry, if we run, will it even help?" she whispered, panic rising. He looked into her eyes, golden orbs reflecting the flare above. "We have no choice. We survive together, or we are lost." The timekeeper stepped aside, murmuring a final warning. "The flow of hours is fragile. One wrong step and even love cannot save you." With a trembling breath, Arielle and Henry sprinted into the fractured forest, pursued by light and steel, every heartbeat echoing the warning of a world teetering on the brink of timeless collapse. The forest shook with the approaching hunters. Light erupted from their staffs sharp as frozen lightning, illuminating the twisted trees in jagged shadows. Villagers along the outskirts screamed as time wavered and snapped. Seconds doubled, stretched, and froze entirely. An entire village hung suspended mid-motion, children frozen mid-laugh, farmers trapped with tools raised, animals frozen mid-leap. Arielle's breath caught. "Henry, what's happening?" "They are tearing the world apart," he growled, eyes blazing gold. "I can't let them touch you." Before she could protest, Henry stepped into the clearing. Light cascaded from his body, golden wings unfurling in fragments of brilliance and shadow. Each feather radiated with pure celestial energy, yet dark veins ran through them, writhing like living shadows. Arielle gasped, mesmerized and terrified. "Henry, your wings." He didn't answer. His hands flared with energy, and in a violent pulse, time shattered in ripples across the land. Trees twisted unnaturally, rivers froze mid-current, the sky itself bending. Every breath Arielle took seemed to stretch into infinity. The hunters froze, mid-step, their weapons suspended in the air, as Henry moved through them like a comet. Golden light clashed with their moonlit magic, throwing waves of temporal distortion. Arielle stumbled backward, her hand on his arm, feeling the shockwave of his power surge through her own body. This is forbidden," she whispered, voice trembling. "It's the only way to protect you," Henry said, his eyes locking with hers. "Every moment I use this, I edge closer to decay. Every pulse burns away my essence." Arielle reached for him, fear rising in her chest. Don't do this alone." He smiled faintly, sorrow etched in every line of his face. "I save you. I risk everything. But without me, the world and you cannot survive." And then, with a force that bent reality, Henry unleashed another surge. His wings shone blindingly, golden light bled into darkness, feathers dissolving into stardust that vanished into the stormy sky. Arielle's eyes widened as she witnessed his true form, no longer just a fallen guardian, but something ethereal, terrifying, and beautiful. Time splintered in waves. Villages froze, rivers hung in mid-flow, animals frozen mid-leap. Even clouds paused in impossible angles. Arielle reached for him, clutching his hand as a tear slid down her cheek. "Henry, I can feel you leaving," she whispered. His golden eyes softened, locking on hers. "Saving you is everything," he murmured, voice breaking. "Even if it costs me my life." In that moment, Arielle understood. To protect her, Henry's very existence now balanced on the edge of collapse. The world hung in a delicate balance, suspended between love and the divine law he had just shattered. The hunters remained frozen, their faint blue eyes staring at nothing. But Arielle knew they were not defeated. Time might have paused for them, but the war was far from over. She gripped Henry's hand tighter. "Then we fight. Together." And as the light around his wings dimmed, a cold shiver ran through the forest. The first true fracture in the world's flow of time. The forest was silent, yet not silent. Leaves fluttered backward, rivers swirled in reverse, and the sun flickered between dawn and dusk in a maddening loop. Villagers walked the streets, endlessly repeating the same gestures, the same words, trapped in fractured moments. Time itself had lost its rhythm, leaving the world suspended in a perpetual heartbeat. Arielle stumbled, gripping Henry's arm. It's all broken," she whispered, eyes wide at the looping chaos. Children cried and laughed at the same time, the cries echoing endlessly. The smell of burning wood lingered, even though the flames had never fully reached the ground. Henry moved ahead cautiously, wings hidden now, his golden eyes scanning every distorted shadow. "We need to find somewhere safe," he said, voice low. "Someplace untouched by this collapse." As they ran through the distorted streets, Arielle noticed something strange. A droplet of water paused mid-air, hovering between her fingers. Tentatively, she extended her hand, and the droplet glowed faintly, then froze completely, spinning like a tiny star. Her heartbeat surged, the world around them slowed, freezing in fragments where she willed it. I can control it," she whispered in awe mingled with fear. The world obeyed her thought, bending to the pulse of her emotions. Henry stopped, his face grim. "Arielle, don't. Every time you bend time, it drains something from you, your life, your essence. You can't afford it." but she refused to listen. She lifted her hands and the street straightened. The flickering sun held its position. Clouds paused mid-shift, and the trapped villagers blinked out of their loops, unaware of the miracle. Every effort left her gasping, sweat streaking her glowing, pale face. "Look," she whispered, pointing to a shattered clock tower. Its hands spun uncontrollably, then froze under her will. "I can hold it, at least for a little while." Henry reached for her wrist, concern etched in every line of his face. "Arielle, if you push this further, I won't be able to stop the decay. You'll destroy yourself before they even find us." Her silver eyes met his, fierce and unrelenting. "I can't just run. I can't watch the world collapse while I hide. I won't let anyone else suffer." He shook his head, but could do nothing to stop her. The glow of the mark on their wrists pulsed violently, syncing their heartbeats in a rhythm only the broken world could feel. The wind shifted unnaturally, carrying whispers from frozen mouths, and Arielle felt a surge of power she had never felt before. Part of her, yes, but also part of Henry, part of something ancient and unrelenting. The sky above twisted in impossible angles, clouds folding like paper. Henry's voice broke through the chaos. "You're overextending yourself. Please, stop." But Arielle's determination was absolute. She lifted both hands, and a pulse of silver-gold light radiated outward, reshaping the world around them, bending fractured time back into fragile coherence. And in that instant she realized, every miracle of control came at the cost of her own life. Yet she refused to relent. Behind them, the distorted forest groaned, as if the world itself was warning them, the echoes of fractured time clawing at their heels. Arielle inhaled, gritting her teeth. "Then I'll pay the price, if it means saving them all." Henry's golden eyes softened, filled with sorrow and admiration as he realized their battle had only just begun. The fractured world behind them seemed to sigh in relief as they stumbled into the sanctuary, a forgotten temple half buried in ivy and time. Here, for the first time since the collapse, the air flowed naturally. Water trickled in its usual rhythm, leaves quivered in the wind, and the sun rose steadily, unhindered by the chaos outside. Arielle sank to the ground, exhaustion tugging at every muscle. The mark on her wrist still glowed faintly, syncing with Henry's heartbeat, but here its pulse felt gentler, almost manageable. She let out a shuddering breath, leaning against a cracked pillar. Henry knelt beside her, golden eyes softer now, his wings folded tightly against his back. For a long moment, neither spoke. The world seemed suspended, not by magic, but by the fragile calm that only sanctuary could bring. Finally, Henry's voice broke the silence. "There is something I must tell you, something I have carried for centuries." Arielle looked at him, curiosity mixed with fear. "What is it?" He drew a deep breath, the air trembling around him. "I once defied the celestial order to save a mortal woman. She was unlike any being I had ever known. Courageous, fierce, bound by heart rather than law. I knew the penalty, yet I could not abandon her." Arielle's chest tightened. "A mortal woman?" "Yes." Henry's gaze softened, a shadow of pain flickering behind the gold. "Her name was Arielle, though in another life. Long ago, I loved her beyond the reach of time itself. I broke the divine laws, saved her, and was cast down for eternity. I swore I would never touch the mortal world again. Until now." Arielle's heart skipped. The name reverberated in her mind, hauntingly familiar. "You loved me?" she whispered, disbelief clinging to her voice. "Then, am I—" Henry reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You are her, reborn. Across centuries, across timelines. Our souls found each other again." Her eyes widened as memories, fragments not fully her own, flickered in her mind. A laugh she had never lived, a tear she had never shed, a hand held centuries ago. The realization struck her like lightning. She had loved him before. They had been torn apart once, and here they were, Together again. Tears glistened in her silver eyes. All this time, all these trials, it was for us? Henry's lips quivered into a faint, sorrowful smile. Not for us. For the love that refuses to fade. For the bond the heavens tried to sever but could not. I have waited an eternity for this chance to protect you, to be with you again. Arielle reached for his hand, their fingers interlocking. The glow of their marks flared gently, sinking in a steady rhythm. Here, in the calm of the sanctuary, time seemed willing to let them breathe, if only for a moment. But even in this haven, shadows of the fractured world crept at the edges. The faint hum of celestial energy vibrated through the walls. Henry's voice lowered, urgent despite the quiet. We do not have much time. The celestial order will not forgive my defiance a second time, and the bond, it will soon draw attention beyond the mortal plane. Arielle's gaze hardened, determination flickering through her grief and wonder. Then we face it together like we always have. Henry nodded, golden eyes reflecting centuries of hope and sorrow. Together. Until the end of time. A distant tremor ran through the temple. The world outside reminded them that their reunion had already set destiny in motion, and that peace could never last for long. The tremor echoed through the sanctuary, rattling ivy and stone alike. Arielle and Henry instinctively turned toward the sky. A silver-gold light cut through the clouds, sharp and unwavering. From that brilliance descended a figure bathed in radiance. Seraphine, Henry's former partner in the celestial order. Her presence was undeniable. Wings like molten starlight stretched behind her, shimmering with divine authority, her gaze fixed and unyielding. Every step she took left faint sparks of light upon the ground. Arielle's heart clenched. Who is she? She whispered, clutching Henry's arm. Henry's face darkened. Seraphine. She was my partner before I fell. She is relentless. The celestial woman landed before them, her wings folding with precision, every motion commanding the air. Henry, she said, voice like wind over steel, you have defied the heavens once again. Her golden eyes flickered toward Arielle. And you, mortal, you are the cause of this disturbance. Arielle swallowed, stepping forward despite the tremor in her knees. I don't understand. Seraphine's gaze softened, just slightly, but a streak of jealousy burned beneath the surface. You have bound him with your heart, tied your existence to his. It is not safe. His stay in the mortal realm is a wound upon the world itself. Time fractures, seasons shatter, villages fall into loops. You must let him go. Henry's golden eyes flared. Do not speak this way, Seraphine. She is not your concern. Seraphine's expression hardened. I am not here for her. I am here for him, for the balance. The order has seen the cost. Mortals cannot bear what you are tethered to. Only one choice remains. Arielle's hands trembled. What? What choice? Yield him to the heavens, Seraphine said softly, though the light surrounding her flared like a sun. Or witness the mortal world collapse into timeless chaos. Your love is not enough to anchor the flow. You cannot hold what was never meant to remain. Henry stepped protectively in front of Arielle, wings tensing with restrained power. I will not leave her. We will find another way. Seraphine's eyes hardened. Then know this. Your defiance will burn through you, Henry. And mortal, the bond you've forged, it will not spare you from the consequences. Arielle's gaze met Henry's, silver eyes wide with terror and determination. I can't. Then you are as reckless as he is, Seraphine said, stepping closer. Light bent unnaturally around her, forming symbols that whispered of judgment and eternity. Decide, mortal. Your choice will shape the flow of time. Surrender him, or watch your world crumble. A chill ran through the sanctuary. The air thickened, as though the temple itself held its breath. The distant tremors of fractured time were growing louder, echoing in the heartbeat between Arielle and Henry. Arielle clutched Henry's hand tighter, the mark on their wrists pulsing violently, warning her that their bond was now the axis of a world in peril. Tears glistened in her eyes. "You can't leave." "Not now," she whispered. Seraphine's wings spread wider, and the air around them shimmered with judgment. "Then prepare yourself for the consequences," she said, voice echoing across both time and reality. Henry tightened his grip on Arielle's hand. "Whatever happens, we face it together." And as the heavens flared above, the choice loomed: love or the world itself. The air trembled between them, light and shadow colliding in a silent war. Seraphine's wings blazed brighter, her divine power wrapping the sanctuary in a golden storm. Henry's own light fought to resist it, bending the air around him. But it was Arielle who broke the silence. Her voice, trembling but resolute, sliced through the chaos. "I choose him." Seraphine's eyes widened, the faintest flicker of sorrow crossing her radiant face. "You do not understand what you've done." "I understand everything," Arielle whispered, "and I'm done letting time decide who I'm allowed to love." Before Henry could stop her, she stepped forward and kissed him. The instant their lips met, the world stopped. Every particle of air froze. The trembling earth went still. Waves along distant shores halted mid-crest, suspended in glass-like perfection. Clouds hung motionless in a fractured sky, and the great moon, half shrouded by light, stopped turning. Arielle and Henry stood at the epicenter of silence, the heartbeat of existence itself. The mark on their wrists burned gold and silver, intertwining into an unbroken ring of light. The sanctuary walls glowed, runes igniting across every stone, symbols older than creation pulsing awake. Henry broke the kiss, his golden eyes wide in disbelief. "Arielle, what have you done?" She smiled faintly, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I sealed my choice." Time, fragile and furious, rippled around them like a living storm. The forest outside twisted into frozen sculptures of motion, every blade of grass locked in eternity. Even Seraphine stood still, wings spread, expression frozen between wrath and heartbreak. Henry reached for Arielle, cupping her face, his voice raw. "You've anchored the flow of time to us, to our bond." She nodded weakly. "Then it will never break." But the silence was short-lived. The moon, still and vast above them, began to darken, shadows crawling across its silver face. The eclipse had begun far too early. Henry's breath hitched. "No, this isn't possible. The cycle's been forced. Our bond accelerated it." The runes around them dimmed one by one, the frozen stillness shuddering as if the world itself were trying to breathe again. Cracks of light split the sky, stretching from horizon to horizon. Arielle stumbled, clutching her chest as a sharp pain tore through her, a pulse that wasn't her own. "Henry, it's inside me. Time. It's moving through me." He caught her before she fell, his hands glowing faintly where they touched her skin. "You've become the conduit," he whispered in horror. "The mortal vessel of eternity." Her voice was barely a breath. "Then I'll hold it. For as long as I can." Henry's eyes glistened, torn between love and terror. "Arielle, if you break, everything breaks." Above them, the darkening moon flared crimson at its edges, the heavens watching, waiting. The first threads of reality began to unravel in the distance, forming waves of distortion that rippled toward the sanctuary. And in that suspended, dying world, their kiss became legend, the forbidden spark that stopped the turning of time and awakened the wrath of eternity itself. Henry pulled her close, whispering, "If this is the end, then let time remember us together." And as the eclipse bled across the sky, the frozen world trembled once more, caught between love eternal and the ruin of creation. The crimson eclipse burned above them like an open wound in the heavens. The frozen world began to move again, slowly, painfully, as if reality itself struggled to remember how to breathe. Time's shattered rhythm pulsed through the sanctuary walls, through the stones, through Arielle's trembling hands. Then, the sky cracked. A sound like glass fracturing across eternity echoed from above. Brilliant threads of divine light split the firmament, and through the rift, the celestial realm bled into the mortal one. Fragments of stars rained down as burning embers, scorching the frozen ground. Seraphine moved first. Time caught up to her in an instant, her wings unfurled, radiant and terrible, her face twisted in divine fury. "You have broken the law of eternity," she cried, her voice thundering like the voice of a god. "You've torn the veil between heaven and earth." Henry stepped forward, shielding Arielle with his fading light. "Then let heaven judge me," he said softly. Seraphine raised her hand, and the air erupted into fire and storm. Beams of celestial energy lanced downward, carving through the sanctuary's ruins. Henry's wings flared, golden and defiant, his body trembling under the assault. Each strike dimmed his glow, until the light within him began to flicker. "Stop!" Arielle screamed, reaching for him. Her voice distorted the air, the faint pulse of time shivering around her. But Seraphine only roared, summoning a final bolt from the heavens. Henry met it head-on. The explosion was silent, a flash so bright it erased sound, erased shadow. When the light faded, Henry stood trembling, his wings burning away into streams of stardust that spiraled into the bleeding sky. His eyes found hers one last time, gentle and sorrowful. "Arielle, live." Then his body collapsed, the last of his light bursting outward in a golden wave that threw Seraphine back and sealed the fractures for a heartbeat. "Henry!" Arielle fell beside him, cradling his fading form. His once golden veins dimmed to silver dust, dissolving beneath her fingers. His breath was gone, but his warmth lingered as if the stars themselves mourned. Seraphine rose, her radiant armor cracked, her expression unreadable. "This was mercy," she said coldly. "When the sky falls, remember, he chose this." The heavens screamed. From the great rift above, entire constellations began to collapse, their light cascading like waterfalls of broken glass. Cities of the celestial order fell in shimmering fragments. The barrier between worlds had failed, and gravity no longer obeyed its master. Arielle's grief ignited. She clutched Henry's lifeless hand to her chest and screamed. The sound tore through every plane of existence. Time, still fragile from their bond, convulsed violently. Seconds shattered, hours reversed, the moon split in two. The world lurched forward again, violently, uncontrollably, as though her pain had restarted its heart. But this rebirth was chaos. The winds screamed backward. Rivers climbed their banks. The broken sky wept starlight, raining down fragments of heaven onto mortal soil. And in the center of it all, Arielle knelt beside Henry's body, her hair whipping in the storm, her tears glowing with the light of creation itself. She whispered, "If time began with us, it will end with us." Above her, the moon's severed halves aligned again, but no longer silver. They gleamed black and gold, the mark of a world undone. And as the heavens fell, the mortal realm trembled. For love had done what no god ever dared. It had broken the sky. The heavens were still burning when Arielle lifted Henry's limp body into her arms. His stardust trailed behind them like a fading constellation, dissolving into the fractured night. Every step she took bent the air, time stuttering and rewinding around her grief. The world no longer followed its laws. Hours collapsed into seconds, dawn bled into dusk. Yet she walked on, guided by one desperate hope. She reached the edge of the ecliptic forest, where moments drifted like fog and whispers of eternity hummed through the trees. There, hidden beneath ancient vines, stood the ruin of a temple, the sanctum of the timekeeper. The old seer awaited her, cloaked in silver threads that shimmered like moving sand. His blind eyes glowed faintly, seeing not the present but every moment at once. "You bring death," he rasped, his voice echoing as if from multiple timelines. "And yet, he is not gone. Not yet." "Tell me how to save him," Arielle pleaded, kneeling beside Henry. "I'll give anything." The timekeeper's expression darkened. "Anything, child? Even your heart?" She nodded, without hesitation. He extended a trembling hand toward the great clock behind him. Its gears spun without sound, its pendulum moved through centuries. The clock of eternity feeds on love that binds souls across time. Offer your heart to it, and his light will return, but you will lose all memory of him. His name, his touch, his face, all erased from your soul. To the world it will be as if he never existed. Arielle's breath faltered. She looked down at Henry, his body faintly glowing in the moonlight that seeped through the cracks above. "If forgetting me means he lives," she whispered, "then I'll forget." The timekeeper nodded solemnly and began to chant, gears shifting, the air thick with shimmering dust. The great clock's face opened like an iris of light. Arielle stepped forward, her heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of eternity. Each beat pulled her memories closer to the edge of oblivion, his voice, his warmth, their first kiss beneath the frozen moon, all slipping away. Her tears fell as sparks of gold. She closed her eyes, whispering, "Goodbye, my love." But then, a hand caught hers. Arielle's eyes flew open. Henry stood before her, pale and trembling, his light flickering like a candle against the storm. "No," he breathed, voice hoarse. "You can't do this." She stared in shock. "You're alive?" "Barely," he said, forcing a weak smile. "The stars gave me one last moment, and I won't spend it watching you destroy yourself." The timekeeper's voice thundered, "Foolish guardian! If she doesn't complete the ritual, both of you will fade when time resets." Henry shook his head, stepping between her and the clock's hungry light. "Then let time erase me, not her." Arielle reached for him, tears blurring her vision. "Henry, please." He placed her hand over his fading chest. "You gave me life once. Let me return the gift." The clock's pendulum froze. The world stopped breathing. And in that impossible silence, Henry leaned forward and kissed her. Slow, trembling, final. Their light fused one last time, a collision of mortal and celestial hearts. When the moment broke, Henry's form was already dissolving, his smile faint and peaceful. "Love doesn't need memory, Arielle. It just is." And then he was gone, a final shimmer of starlight drawn into the heart of the clock of eternity. Arielle fell to her knees, the silence echoing. The timekeeper bowed his head. So ends the guardian's time, and begins the woman's destiny. Outside, the broken sky pulsed once, as if mourning the price of love. The silence after Henry's words hung like the pause between heartbeats. The light of the clock of eternity flickered violently, throwing long shadows across the temple's cracked floor. Arielle's hand trembled in his. He was warm, alive but fading, his outline trembling against the collapsing sky above. "Henry," she whispered, her voice breaking. "If I don't erase us, the world will fall apart. You heard him." "I don't care about the world," Henry said, stepping closer, his light dimming with each movement. "I care about you. I have lived for centuries in service of eternity, and it's never once shown mercy. But you made time feel alive." Outside, the horizon fractured like broken glass. The sky bled crimson, then violet, then white, time unable to decide what hour it should be. Their argument wasn't just words, it was rewriting reality itself. Arielle's tears floated upward, freezing into tiny spheres of rain suspended midair. "If I choose you, Henry, everything dies. Every second we share bends the universe closer to collapse." "And if you forget me," Henry said, voice trembling, "then the universe survives. But I don't, because without your memory I'm nothing, just another story lost in the folds of time." He reached out, his thumb brushing her cheek. The instant their skin met, the temple walls flickered between centuries, from ruin to perfection, from moonlit marble to dust. Their love had become the pulse of creation itself. "Look," he whispered, motioning upward. The stars were flickering, blinking in and out of existence like dying embers. Each time her heart hesitated, another constellation vanished. Arielle clutched his hand tighter. I can't choose between you and the world." Henry smiled faintly, though sorrow filled his eyes. "Then choose between seconds. Choose what matters now. Let eternity fend for itself." The timekeeper's voice boomed through the collapsing sky, echoing across timelines. "Child of the mortal realm, every beat you share with him unravels the clockwork of existence. Love him, and time dies with you both." Arielle turned toward the great clock. Its pendulum was slowing, its gears grinding to a halt. The edges of the world bent inward, mountains folding like paper, oceans trembling in reverse tides. The universe was holding its breath, waiting for her decision. Henry cupped her face in both hands. "Arielle, listen to me. You once said love was worth breaking for. So break with me, just once." Her heart pounded, steady, defiant. She felt the mark on her wrist glow, merging again with his. In that glow, every lifetime they had ever shared flashed before her eyes. The first touch, the first loss, every moment stolen from the gods. "I choose you," she whispered. The words shattered the world. A blinding surge of light burst from them, sending shockwaves through time itself. The suspended raindrops exploded into shimmering dust. The broken stars reignited, burning brighter than before. But the clock behind them cracked down its center, its face splitting open with a scream of grinding metal. The timekeeper staggered back, eyes wide with something that might have been awe or fear. "Then you have declared war on eternity," he hissed, "and eternity will not lose twice." Above them, the sky folded in on itself, the stars spiraling into a colossal vortex of gold and black. Arielle clung to Henry as the floor crumbled beneath them, both caught between seconds that no longer obeyed order or law. And as the world began to unravel into blinding light, the last thing she heard was Henry's whisper, gentle, fierce, and full of love that could burn through time itself. "Then let eternity come." The world dissolved into light and chaos. Arielle clung to Henry as the vortex swallowed them whole, their bodies stretched between seconds, falling through shattered constellations and streams of fractured time. Then, sudden stillness. They stood in a realm beyond worlds where the sky bled silver and moons hung fractured like shards of mirrors. Every step echoed across eternity. At the center of the endless expanse floated the Celestial Council, beings woven from pure starlight, their eyes burning like suns. Henry fell to one knee, shielding Arielle behind him. His glow was faint now, yet defiance radiated from him like fire. "I demand judgment," he said, his voice echoing through the cosmic silence. "I have broken your law, but I claim my right, the right to love." The eldest of the gods rose, his face an ever-shifting constellation. "You have no right to love a mortal fallen guardian. You were created to protect time, not corrupt it." Arielle stepped forward despite the crushing gravity pressing against her. "He didn't corrupt it, I did. It was my heart that bound us, my love that stopped time." Laughter rippled through the council, cold and cruel. "A mortal defending a god," another voice sneered. "You are nothing, child of dust. Your existence flickers between breaths." Henry's hand found hers. "Then let our breaths become one." He turned toward her, his eyes burning gold as his divine aura flared. "Arielle, whatever happens, don't let go." "Henry, what are you?" Before she could finish, he pressed his forehead against hers. The mark on their wrists ignited. not in gold, but in blinding white light. Symbols older than creation itself spiraled up their arms, merging their heartbeats into one rhythm that thundered through the heavens. The celestial council shouted in alarm. The ground split open beneath them, rivers of starlight spilling into the void. "Stop this madness," cried the eldest god. "You bind what must never be joined." But Henry didn't stop. His voice rang like a vow carved into the bones of eternity. "Then let this be written. If one of us dies, both perish. Let the laws that caged us crumble beneath the weight of our love." The sigil on their wrists fused completely. One mark, one pulse, one destiny. The moon above, caught in eternal eclipse, began to bleed silver, its light cascading over them like a storm of molten glass. Arielle gasped as her body convulsed. She could feel his essence flowing into her veins, his heartbeat echoing inside her chest. Every memory he had ever lived flickered through her mind. The wars of angels, the fall of stars, the loneliness of immortality. The gods recoiled, unable to separate their merged forms. "You have doomed yourselves," thundered the council. "You have defied the foundation of time itself." Henry smiled faintly. "Then time will learn to fear love." Arielle's tears shimmered like fragments of the moon. She could feel their souls intertwined beyond undoing. His pain was hers, his light her shadow. And for the first time, eternity itself hesitated, uncertain how to punish what it could no longer define. The moon's silver blood poured into the sky, covering the realm in luminous storm. One by one, the gods turned away, unable to face what they had created. Only the eldest remained, his gaze sorrowful. "Love that binds two timelines will burn through both," he warned softly. "The next heartbeat you share will decide which world survives, yours or his." Then the heavens cracked apart. The silver rain became fire, the stars screamed, and Arielle felt the world twist beneath her feet. Henry pulled her close, whispering against her ear, "No matter which world falls, I'll find you in the ashes." As the moon shattered into rivers of silver light, the bound lovers vanished into the chaos, together, at war with eternity itself. Silver light swallowed everything. Arielle's scream was lost in the storm as she and Henry fell through collapsing skies, through centuries, through memories, through lifetimes that weren't their own. The heavens themselves were dying. When they finally stopped falling, the world around them was a dream in ruins. Clouds hung frozen like shattered glass. Stars bled down in slow streams, and below their feet, time flowed like liquid, thick, golden, and restless. "This isn't heaven," Arielle whispered, clutching Henry's hand. "Where are we?" Henry's eyes scanned the shifting horizon. "We're in between, a dream world trapped in the folds of time. When we merged our souls, we tore open the space between past and future. We're walking through what eternity tried to forget." The air shimmered, and suddenly, the world changed. Arielle blinked. They stood in a moonlit field, the scent of lilacs in the air. She saw herself, younger, in another life, kneeling before a wounded soldier with Henry's face. He died in her arms. The illusion dissolved into dust. Another scene formed, a stormy cliff, another lifetime. She was a queen, he was a knight. He was struck down protecting her, again, death. Scene after scene, 1,000 lives, 1,000 endings, always the same two souls, always one left behind. Arielle fell to her knees, gasping. "We've done this before, over and over. Every lifetime ends the same." Henry crouched beside her, his face pale but resolute. "We're caught in a loop of destiny. The gods erased us each time we defied them, resetting history so we'd never meet again." Her tears hit the glowing ground and became light. "Then how do we stop it?" Before he could answer, the dream twisted violently. Time convulsed. The field melted into darkness, and from the shadows stepped a familiar figure, the timekeeper. But here his form was cracked, splintered, his voice echoing from 1,000 echoes. "This realm is collapsing," he warned. "Your bond has consumed the threads of fate. The only way to end the cycle is to restore balance, by separating the timelines." Henry's jaw tightened. "You mean one of us has to die?" The timekeeper's eyes glowed with sorrow. "Only a death willingly given can rewrite eternity's script. If you both survive, the loop continues. Every world will fall, every love doomed to repeat." Arielle's breath hitched. She looked at Henry, the same face that had loved her across ages, across stars. "No, we just found each other again." Henry took her hands gently. "Arielle, maybe that's the point. Maybe this was never about keeping love alive. Maybe it's about proving that love can let go." She shook her head violently, backing away. "Don't you dare. Henry, don't you say goodbye again." The dream around them began to crumble, mountains folding in, stars bursting one by one. The sound of time unraveling grew deafening. Henry stepped closer, cupping her face. "You gave me eternity. Let me give you a life." "No," she screamed, clutching his arms. "We'll find another way." But he smiled, that same soft, sorrowful smile she had seen in every life before. "We already tried, 1,000 times." The timekeeper's voice trembled. "Choose now, before all worlds are lost." Arielle's tears glowed brighter than the dying stars. Her heart warred between love and duty, between holding on and saving everything that remained. As the skies fractured completely and the last remnants of heaven fell like burning snow, Henry whispered, "This time let it end with love, not loss." He leaned in, pressed his forehead to hers, and in that heartbeat, everything paused. The next second would decide the fate of every world. Time stopped between their breaths. The world hung motionless, a fragile dream on the edge of breaking. Arielle could feel Henry's heart fading beneath her palms, his light dimming with every beat that defied the laws of eternity. Then, through the silence, a whisper came. Not from the heavens, not from the gods, but from the fractured earth itself. "There is still 1 hour left unwritten." Arielle turned sharply. The timekeeper's fractured form shimmered beside them, his body half transparent, his voice trembling like an echo from another age. "The forgotten hour," he said. "A moment lost when the first clock was born, untouched by destiny, unseen by gods. Reach it, and you may rewrite what was meant to be." Her breath caught. "Can it save him?" "It can save one," the seer whispered, "but it demands the other." The dream realm trembled around them, its skies folding in, its stars falling like rain. Henry's grip on her hand weakened. His fingers were turning translucent, his form flickering like a dying flame. "Arielle." His voice was faint, almost fading into wind. "The heavens are pulling me back." She shook her head fiercely. "No, you're not leaving me again." He smiled weakly. "You can't stop what's written." "Then I'll rewrite it myself," she said, standing and pulling him toward the collapsing horizon. "Show me the path to the forgotten hour." The timekeeper raised his trembling hand. A fissure of light opened before them, a staircase spiraling through darkness, every step pulsing like a heartbeat. "Follow the rhythm of love," he murmured. "It will lead you through what even time fears." They ran, hand in hand, through the disintegrating dreamscape. Worlds flickered past them, ruins of futures that never were, echoes of lives they once lived. Each step grew heavier, the gravity of eternity pressing harder against their bodies. As they ascended, Henry stumbled, his legs dissolving into wisps of gold. "Arielle, I can't." She caught him, holding him close, her tears streaking down his fading face. "Don't say that. You promised to find me in the ashes, remember?" His fading eyes softened. "And I will. But if you reach the hour, don't waste it on me. Save the world. Save yourself." Her voice cracked. No, Henry. Without you, there is no world for me. They reached the final step. A doorway made of light suspended in the void. Through it, Arielle saw what lay beyond. A single clock frozen in a realm of silence, its hands unmoving, its pendulum still. The forgotten hour. The timekeeper's voice echoed faintly, almost gone. You must enter before the eclipse fades. Once the shadow passes, the door will close. Forever. Arielle turned to Henry, whose form was nearly gone. His golden essence shimmered like dust in the starlit air. Hold on, please, she whispered, pressing her forehead to his. He smiled faintly. You were my beginning, Arielle, and maybe my end. She clutched his fading hand to her chest. Then I'll end with you. The first light of the returning moon broke through the rift, the eclipse nearing its end. Arielle took a trembling breath, stepped into the light, and the moment she crossed, she felt the weight of eternity twist around her. The clock within the realm stirred, its gears grinding slowly to life. Henry's voice echoed faintly behind her, carried on the wind of dying time. Whatever happens, remember me in the hour that never was. Arielle turned and saw only falling starlight. He was gone, but her vow burned brighter than the heavens themselves. She wiped her tears, faced the sleeping clock, and whispered, If this is the hour forgotten by gods, then I'll make it remember love. The pendulum began to move, and time, for the first time, trembled in fear. The forgotten hour shimmered like liquid glass, a realm beyond the reach of gods and mortals alike. Arielle's pulse echoed with the ticking of unseen clocks as she searched the void for any trace of Henry's essence. The silence was heavy, until the light bent, and a figure stepped forth from its fracture. Seraphine. Her arrival was a wound in the light itself, radiant, divine, yet shadowed by envy. Wings of molten silver unfolded behind her, flickering with the remnants of celestial fire. You shouldn't have come here, she said softly, her voice layered with both pity and pride. This realm belongs to no mortal. Arielle's eyes burned with determination. Then I'll make it mine. I'll find him, even if I have to tear time apart. Seraphine tilted her head, watching her with an expression that almost seemed tender. You love him that much? More than life, Arielle whispered. Something flickered in Seraphine's eyes, sorrow perhaps, or something darker. She extended a hand. Then let me help you. I know how to reach his spirit, but you must trust me. Arielle hesitated. She could feel the air around Seraphine hum with deceit, but desperation was stronger than doubt. If you can bring him back, she said, I'll follow you anywhere. Seraphine smiled faintly, a celestial curve of triumph. Then come. They journeyed through the suspended corridors of the forgotten hour, where fractured timelines floated like shards of frozen dreams. Every step took them closer to the mirror realm, the boundary between existence and oblivion. Seraphine led the way, her voice weaving soft hymns that distorted the air, reshaping the pathways ahead. But behind her beauty, her thoughts coiled like serpents. She remembered the day the heavens cast her down, when Henry chose compassion for mortals over duty to the divine. She had watched him fall, not as an angel, but as the man she once called beloved. And now, standing beside his mortal lover, Seraphine's wings trembled with the ache of old betrayal. They reached a vast chamber of mirrors, each reflecting a different version of reality. In one, Arielle saw herself growing old beside Henry. In another, she saw him alone, mourning her grave. And in the center of it all, one mirror shimmered brighter than the rest, a reflection that breathed. Henry. His image was trapped within the glass, suspended between existence and memory. His hand pressed faintly against the inner surface, his lips moving soundlessly. Arielle ran forward, palm against the cold surface. Henry. Seraphine's voice came from behind her, low and smooth. He can be freed, but only by divine touch. Mortal essence cannot break celestial mirrors. Arielle turned, desperate. Then do it! Help me! Seraphine stepped close, her face unreadable. I will. But when he is free, the balance must be restored. What do you mean? Seraphine's smile was tinged with divine cruelty. The heavens will not allow two souls bound by defiance to remain. One must take the other's place. Arielle's eyes widened. You mean? Before she could finish, Seraphine raised her hand and pressed it to the mirror. A blinding flash erupted. Henry gasped, his body solidifying within the glass, while invisible chains coiled around him. The trap was sprung. Seraphine's laughter rang through the chamber, sweet and venomous. He will remain mine, as it was always meant to be. And you, she sneered, you will fade into the dust of forgotten time. No, Arielle screamed, slamming her palms against the mirror. The glass burned her skin, drawing streaks of light from her soul. She could feel her life essence unraveling, but she didn't care. Her love was trapped, and she would not lose him again. Stop! Henry shouted from within, his fists pounding the other side. Arielle, don't! But she already had. Her heart ignited like a supernova, light bursting from every vein. The chamber trembled as cracks splintered across the mirror's surface. Seraphine staggered back, shielding her eyes. Impossible, she screamed. With one final cry, part agony, part love, Arielle struck the mirror again. It shattered into 1,000 shards of light, each carrying a piece of her soul. Henry fell from the collapsing reflection, catching her as she crumpled. Her body glowed faintly, dissolving like mist under moonlight. No, he whispered, clutching her close. Don't you dare leave me. Arielle smiled weakly, her voice barely a whisper. I told you. I'd follow you anywhere. And as the last of her essence faded into starlight, Seraphine fell to her knees, her stolen power unraveling in horror and regret. For the first time, even heaven's betrayer felt the ache of loss. But the clock was still ticking, and somewhere beyond the shattered mirror, the forgotten hour began to bleed. The shattered mirror dissolved into motes of light, scattering across the void like dying stars. Arielle collapsed among the drifting fragments, her pulse faint, her soul flickering between seconds. The world around her warped, time bleeding into itself. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow folded together, and from their collision, a sound emerged. A single, thunderous tick. She lifted her head weakly. Before her rose the clock of eternity, an impossible construct suspended in the void, larger than mountains, older than creation. Its hands turned not by gears but by emotion, grief, love, and sacrifice, all woven into its rhythm. Each heartbeat across existence added to its pulse, but now its movement had slowed to near silence. The world was dying with every faltering second. Arielle stumbled toward it, her breath shallow, her light fading. Henry's weight was gone from her arms, his warmth replaced by the cold ache of absence. Please, she whispered, voice trembling. Just a little longer. Let me see him again. The timekeeper's voice echoed faintly, woven into the still air. Every realm is held by emotion. When love burns too bright, time itself trembles. Tears glistened as Arielle pressed her palm to the clock's core, a glowing sphere of crystal that pulsed faintly like a heart. She felt it respond to her sorrow, each tear fueling its rhythm. Take it, she begged. Take everything. My love, my life. Use it to fix what I broke. Her heartbeat synced with the clock's. The moment she surrendered, waves of light surged outward, stitching the fractured realms together. Frozen rivers flowed once more. The skies began to turn, and mortals awoke from their endless loops. The cost, however, was steep. Every pulse of restoration drained her, unraveling the bond that tethered her soul to the world. Then, through the collapsing light, a voice called her name. Arielle. She turned, and there he was, Henry, his form weak but radiant, stumbling toward her through the rippling folds of time. His wings were gone, but his eyes, those endless celestial eyes, still burned with the same fire. He caught her hands before she could withdraw them from the clock. "No, not like this." "You shouldn't be here," she gasped. "The world is breaking. I can fix it, Henry. I can end this." He shook his head, tears streaking down his face. "You already gave enough. I was meant to bear this curse, not you." The clock's hands began to spin wildly, sensing the presence of two hearts intertwined beyond divine law. The air trembled. Reality warped as if holding its breath. Henry cupped her face, his touch trembling. "If one of us must be the sacrifice, it should be me. I was the one who defied the heavens." Arielle shook her head weakly, her tears shimmering like shards of light. "And I was the one who made you fall. Don't you see? We were never meant to win against destiny, only to love through it." Henry smiled through his tears, his thumb brushing away hers. "Then let me love you one last time. The only way I can." Before she could stop him, he pressed his hand against hers on the clock's core. A surge of divine energy erupted, binding their light together. But then, slowly, he began to fade. "Henry," she screamed, gripping him tighter. "No, please don't." He smiled faintly, his voice breaking. "This time, you'll live. You'll remember what love can do." The clock roared, its gears igniting with silver fire. All of time reversed. Days unwound, stars realigned, the heavens themselves mended. The shattered timelines merged into one seamless flow. And as the final second struck, Henry's form dissolved completely in her arms, his essence absorbed by the clock's heart. The light dimmed, and silence fell. Arielle collapsed, her tears falling onto the now still surface of the clock. Around her, the world breathed again, alive, reborn. But the space beside her was empty. The man who had taught her what time could not contain was gone. Only a faint echo of his voice lingered, carried by the restored winds. "Even if I vanish, I'll wait for you, between the seconds." And as the first dawn of the new world broke, Arielle's heart, though shattered, beat in perfect rhythm with eternity itself. The dawn after the restoration was too perfect. The sky was painted in soft golds and rose hues. Clouds drifting lazily as if the world had never known collapse. Rivers ran smoothly. Flowers bloomed again, and the air carried the scent of life reborn. But for Arielle, every breath felt wrong. Too steady, too still, as if the universe had forgotten how to ache. She walked through the quiet village she had once called home. The people she healed before smiled and greeted her with warmth, but their eyes were empty of recognition. There was no trace of celestial war, no sign of fractured time, no whisper of a man with eyes like starlight. "Morning, healer Arielle," said the baker, waving cheerfully. "You look tired. Long night?" She forced a smile. "Just a dream I can't remember." He laughed and moved on, but her words hung heavy in the air. Because she did remember, not clearly, but as fragments that refused to fade. A voice saying her name like a prayer, hands that had once held hers beneath a sky of broken moons, a warmth that felt older than time itself. Each night she lay awake, staring at the silver glow of the moon outside her window. And always, just as sleep began to take her, the world would stop for exactly one heartbeat. Candles froze mid-flicker. Raindrops hung suspended in the air. In that single silent second, she felt it, a phantom touch brushing her cheek, soft and trembling. "Henry," she whispered, though she didn't know why that name made her chest tighten. Then the world would resume, as if nothing had happened. Days passed, weeks. The seasons shifted too quickly, as though time was still mending itself. Yet that heartbeat of stillness remained, every night without fail, like the world itself refused to move forward without her remembering. One afternoon, While tending to a wounded traveler, Arielle noticed something strange. When she touched his arm to heal him, light shimmered beneath her skin, not her usual glow, but a faint golden pulse. She froze. The same hue as his blood, the same color that once illuminated her dreams. The traveler gasped, "Healer, your wrist." She looked down. For the first time since the reset, the faint outline of the celestial mark flickered beneath her skin, half faded, yet pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The rhythm quickened, matching something unseen, something distant. That night, she couldn't sleep. She stood outside, the moon full and gleaming silver, and for the first time, she noticed something wrong. The moonlight wavered. It bled faintly at its edges, shimmering with gold, as if something trapped within it wanted to break free. And then, it happened. Time stopped, not for one heartbeat, but entirely. The wind froze. The stars halted mid-glimmer. The river beside her turned to glass. In that frozen stillness, she heard it. A whisper, distant, yet unmistakable. Between the seconds, "I wait for you." Her breath caught. "Henry?" The world shimmered, rippling like disturbed water. She saw flashes, wings of light, a falling star, the clock of eternity glowing in the void. Her knees gave out as the visions overwhelmed her. When she opened her eyes, a single feather, silver at the base, gold at the tip, floated down before her. It landed softly in her palm, warm as a heartbeat. Her tears came unbidden. "You're real," she whispered, clutching it to her chest. The world began to move again, wind rushing back into her lungs, time resuming its song. But something had changed. The air itself vibrated with faint divine energy. The veil between mortal and celestial had thinned once more. As she looked up, the moon's light pulsed, once, twice, like a heartbeat calling her name. And deep within her chest, something ancient stirred awake. He was not gone. He was calling her back. The night of the lunar eclipse arrived, the first since the world's restoration. The sky was cloaked in shadow and silver, the air trembling as if the heavens themselves awaited something sacred. Arielle felt it before she saw it, a pull deep within her chest, gentle yet unyielding, guiding her toward the ancient ruins beyond the valley. Those ruins, the place where she first found him, were silent, blanketed by moonlit mist. Grass had grown over the shattered stones, but as she stepped closer, her heart began to race, beating faster with every breath. She knelt and placed her hand on the earth. The moment her skin met the soil, the world exhaled. A blinding stillness spread in all directions. Crickets stopped singing, the wind froze mid-whisper, and the rivers fell silent. The eclipse reached its peak, a silver crown glowing around a shadowed moon. And in that frozen world, the symbol on her wrist ignited, flaring to life in pure golden light. Her body trembled. The light wasn't just warmth. It was recognition. A call answered. The ground beneath her cracked with quiet grace, lines of luminescence spreading outward in intricate patterns. The air shimmered, bending reality into a spiral of light and memory. And from that glow, a shape emerged. Tall, familiar, and impossibly real. Henry, but not the celestial guardian she remembered. His wings were gone, replaced by the fragile humanity of bare shoulders and trembling breath. The light around him was no longer divine. It was alive, warm, mortal. Arielle couldn't breathe. "Henry." He blinked, as if waking from a long, endless dream. His gaze found hers, soft, bewildered, and filled with the ache of countless lifetimes. He took a step forward, the earth rippling beneath his bare feet. I thought I was gone." "You were," she whispered, tears gathering. "You gave yourself to the clock." "I did," he said, his voice trembling, "and it gave me back, not as a guardian, but as what I always wanted to be, human." free to love you without breaking the world. Her hand rose to touch his face, half afraid he would vanish. But he didn't. His skin was warm beneath her fingers, solid and real. Time remained still, holding its breath around them, as if even the universe refused to interrupt. He smiled faintly, pressing his forehead against hers. Time remembered what we forgot. The words broke her. A sob escaped her lips as she clung to him, her tears soaking into his skin. The golden mark on their wrists pulsed in unison, merging once more into one heartbeat, steady, strong, eternal. Above them, the eclipse began to shift. The moon's shadow faded, and in its light, the ruins around them bloomed with living time. Flowers opening in seconds, vines reclaiming ancient stone, stars scattering across the horizon like blessings. The timekeeper's voice echoed faintly, carried on the wind. When love endures the collapse of seconds, time itself bends to remember. Henry pulled back slightly, looking into her tear-filled eyes. Does this mean? She nodded through a trembling smile. It means we were never a mistake. The world didn't forget us. It healed because of us. He laughed softly, disbelief and wonder mixing in his tone. Then what are we now? Arielle looked around, watching the world unfurl, the colors of dawn melting across the horizon. We're what time became when it chose love. He kissed her then, slow, reverent, as the world restarted around them. The winds moved again, the rivers sang, and the moon's silver tears shimmered like blessings from the heavens. For the first time, time didn't shatter from their touch. It flowed, gently, willingly, around them both. And as they stood there, entwined beneath the fading eclipse, the light on their wrists dimmed softly, not as an ending, but as a promise fulfilled. The gods had fallen silent. The clock of eternity ticked once more, and somewhere between 1 second and the next, time remembered love. The first light of dawn had barely touched the horizon when the earth began to tremble again. The birds that had just begun to sing fell silent. Clouds tore open like wounds across the sky. Arielle felt it deep in her bones. The heavens were waking, and they were angry. Henry's arms tightened around her. The warmth of his reborn body was fragile, flickering like a candle in a storm. The mark on their wrists, once a symbol of reunion, began to glow violently, threads of gold spreading through their veins. The balance is breaking again, he murmured, voice low but steady. The heavens want what I borrowed. Arielle looked up at him, her heartbeat thundering. You mean your life? He nodded slowly. They gave me this chance to return, to love you once more. But every choice demands its price. If I stay, the cycle begins again. Time will unravel. She shook her head fiercely, her fingers gripping his face as if her touch alone could anchor him to this world. No, not again. We just found each other. You can't. The mark flared between them, splitting into light and shadow, pulling at his form like unseen chains. Henry staggered back, pain twisting across his face. They're calling me, he gasped. The celestial order. They're pulling me home. Arielle's tears fell freely now, mingling with the golden dust that began to swirl around him. No, you can't leave at this time. The word struck like a command, trembling through the air. Time hesitated. The sun froze half-risen. The wind stopped mid-whisper. Even the collapsing sky faltered, unsure whether to obey destiny or her heart. Henry reached for her, but their hands met a barrier of light, soft, yet unbreakable. His eyes filled with sorrow and wonder. You've stopped time again, he whispered. Even after everything, you still can. I don't want power, she sobbed. I just want you. He pressed his palm to the barrier, his warmth seeping through. Then listen to me. If I stay, the world ends. But if I go, she cut him off. stepping closer until the barrier trembled. If you go, I end. Their marks began to synchronize again, pulsing faster and faster, 2 heartbeats merging into one. The sky above fractured like glass, streaks of silver and crimson tearing through the heavens. Thunder rolled through the stillness, and the light around them grew blinding. Henry's voice broke as he whispered, "Arielle, I love you. Across lifetimes, across endings. But we can't keep defying." She silenced him with a kiss. It was soft at first, trembling, then fearsome, a declaration, a rebellion, a promise bound in eternity. As their lips met, the barrier shattered, releasing a shockwave of light that tore through the collapsing world. The heavens screamed. The stars imploded into rivers of gold. Time itself splintered, and then, impossibly, began to weave again. Instead of breaking, the universe folded inward, creating a new rhythm. Seconds rewrote themselves, merging into a single, endless moment. Not stillness, but harmony. When the light faded, the ruins were gone. The world was whole, reborn once more. Arielle stood in a sunlit meadow, her hair kissed by wind, her heart pounding in perfect rhythm. The air was alive, pulsing with quiet joy. Behind her, a familiar voice whispered, soft and human, "Arielle, it's morning." She turned. Henry stood there, alive, untouched, mortal. The mark on their wrists had vanished, replaced by faint scars that gleamed silver in the sunlight. "Is it over?" she asked, her voice trembling. He smiled, tired but peaceful. "No, it's just beginning. Time didn't end. It learned to love." Arielle stepped into his arms, the weight of eternity melting into the warmth of the present. Around them, the world breathed, not bound by gods or destiny or the ticking of unseen clocks, only by the steady human rhythm of 2 hearts that had defied the heavens, and one. She pressed her head to his chest, feeling the heartbeat that once governed the stars. "You can't leave at this time," she whispered again, smiling through tears. He kissed the top of her head. "I'm not going anywhere." And for the first time, time itself moved forward, not as a command of fate, but as a love story reborn. The end.